As an actor, I have always hated looking for an agent. It's always felt demoralizing and like the biggest waste of time. So, at the end of last year, when I suddenly found myself without an agent after a decade, I sat with my managers and they told me that because of the state of the industry and the fact that I didn't have any great, crisp, new, fancy credits, that I was probably going to have to spend a bit of time agentless. And I thought they were probably right. And yet, within 2 months of that conversation, I ended up meeting with 12 different theatrical agents in Los Angeles and signing with my top choice boutique agency. Woohoo! And I did this by combining two strategies: Brian Pataka's Agent Goals Outreach Method.
Hey, I'm Brian
and
Pataka.
my own casting DNA framework for clarifying how an actor positions themselves in the market. Today, I'm going to tell you exactly how I did both of these things because it's really changed how I view seeking representation as an actor. So let's get into it. If you haven't hung out here before, my name is Adria Tenner and I'm an actor and a coach. And I love to share things I've learned the hard way so you can just breeze on through. So let's go. So this whole agent situation really clicked for me after hearing from casting professionals last year that commercial casting has changed dramatically. Where they used to have 5 or 6 days to cast a commercial, now they often only have just 1 day. And because of that, they don't always have time to put out a breakdown and sift through hundreds of submissions. So instead, they often call a handful of trusted agents and ask them to send their best people. That was a bit tough to hear because I realized that if I wanted to work as a commercial actor, that I was probably going to have to make a tough change. So I met with a handful of commercial agents, I chose one, and then the next step was the sort of bummer part of having to tell my theatrical guy that I was not going to work with him commercially anymore. So just a little bit of backstory. I had been with this agent for 10 years, and over those years, he had always bugged me to come over and work with him across the board. Now, I would never advise an actor ever to work with an agent across the board. Now, you can all come at me, but this is my opinion. If you work with somebody for everything, then you have all your eggs in one basket, so if one thing gets messed up, it's all broken. But a couple years ago, I was going through a really, really difficult life change. And at the same time, I needed to change my commercial representation, and my theatrical guy had been like bugging me and he was like, I can do it. So I bit the bullet and I went with him across the board. So now that I had found my new commercial representation, I needed to go back to my theatrical guy and tell him that I was no longer going to be represented by him commercially. That conversation didn't go very well. He was not happy with me, and a couple days later, he called to tell me that he thought that I should just go with my new commercial agents across the board. Dude, I just said I don't want to be with somebody across the board. So my managers had suggested that this could happen, so while it was surprising, it wasn't completely unexpected. But suddenly I found myself agentless in a climate where it was really difficult to find an agent. So I could have just listened to my managers. They are very smart and I trust them implicitly. But something inside of me said, no, go for it. I had used Brian Pataka's method just a couple years ago to find these managers who are amazing. So who's to say that I can't find some amazing agents? Let's give this a shot. But before I did anything, I applied my own casting DNA strategy to my materials. I made sure that everything that I was sending was transmitting clearly who I was and how I functioned in story. The signal was super clear. Once I had my materials ready to go, it was time to apply Brian's strategy. He has an incredible system for coming up with 3 agent campaign emails and an even more brilliant system for blanketing whatever market in which you're looking for representation with your materials. That's right, Brian and his team have compiled every email address for every agent and manager in the universe. So no matter where you are looking for representation, Brian's list is going to help you get it. And because you're sending your materials to everyone in the market, you get to meet with incredible people and an incredible amount of people. The best thing about all of these meetings was I got to meet all of these amazing agents who love actors, who love film and television, who love helping actors get jobs, who love this industry, and I learned so much from them. I learned that there was a pilot season this year. I learned this new thing called creative self-tapes, where one agent told me that her actor wasn't standing in front of his blue wall anymore. He decided to just get into the scene by doing whatever it was. He booked a job from a tape that he made while taking a shower and talking through the shower curtain because that's what the scene called for. Another agent told me about one of his older actor clients who just stopped booking after self-tapes became a thing. And he went to this incredible acting coach, Annie Grinley. I will link to her too. She did an audit for him of his self-tapes, and she told him the one thing that now made him start booking again. I mean, this was all gold that I never would have learned if I hadn't taken all of these different meetings. Thank you, Brian. I really took the meticulousness of this seriously. I sent one round of emails the first week, and if I got responses from agents, I would then delete them off the list for the following weeks. I didn't want to be emailing people if they'd already told me yes or no. That would look lame. Another really interesting thing happened because I was blanketing the marketplace. The third week, my hook, my subject line was, "Hey, so-and-so, I have met with a whole bunch of people, but I'd still like to meet with you before I make my final decision." And that prompted a response from an agent that I thought was so interesting and so telling. She wrote me back and she said, "You know, I only meet with actors who tell me that I am their first choice as an agent." And I wrote her back and said, "Well, thank you so much for that information, but how would I ever know if you were my first choice if I haven't even had a chance to speak with you?" She wrote back and she said, "Well, you would need to do your research, and most agents feel this way, but they won't tell you that." So I let that sit for a second and I realized, you know what? This is why Brian's method is so powerful. This agent did not like that I had the power in the situation. I was getting to choose because I had sent my materials to the entire city. She was downright telling me that she felt that I should only be reaching out to one person, which gives that one person all of the power. Actors have so little power because we give it away. And that's what I love about Brian's method, is it really gives the power back to the actor. So in closing, do Brian's agent goals method to get those agents to open your emails, and do casting DNA to get those agents to sign you. You must have your materials perfectly curated and firing on all cylinders so that you are transmitting exactly who you are and what you play. That's what's going to get you signed. If you want to experiment with this a little bit more, I have a free tool called Casting DNA Pre-Check. The link is down below. It will help you look at your materials and notice what you are transmitting and what you are not transmitting that you may want to be transmitting. So check that out. Let me know how it goes. Let me know what you find out. Let me know what you figure out. I'm a geek. I want to know.